Most people think of Phil Robertson as the bearded patriarch from Duck Dynasty. But here's what they don't know. He turned a hand-carved duck call business into a multi-million-dollar empire without chasing fame, without selling out, and without changing who he was. While other reality stars burn out, Phil cashed in, quietly, strategically, and on his own terms. Phil Robertson didn't grow up with money. Born in 1946 in Louisiana, his family lived in a house without electricity, plumbing, or even a bathroom. They hunted for their food, fished in the river, and wore clothes passed down until they fell apart. But here's the kicker. Phil didn't just survive poverty. He learned to thrive without money, and that gave him a mindset most millionaires never develop. When he later turned down a professional football career, yes, he played ahead of Terry Bradshaw in college, it wasn't because he didn't have talent. It was because he didn't want to give up hunting season. That's the first money lesson from Phil Robertson. Know what matters to you, and never trade it for cash. In the 1970s, Phil noticed something. The duck calls on the market didn't sound real, so he started carving his own out of wood by hand. At first, it was just a side hustle. But he had something most inventors miss, a unique product and authentic branding. He knew ducks. He knew hunting. And he spoke the language of his customers. He launched Duck Commander in 1972. Sales were slow at first, but Phil kept going. No investors, no loans, just grit. He sold duck calls from the back of a truck and shipped orders from a shed. And over time, word spread. Solve a specific problem for a niche audience, and you don't need millions, you need loyalty. By the early 2000s, Duck Commander was a thriving business. But it was Phil's son Willie who took it to the next level. Willie had an eye for branding and, more importantly, TV. In 2012, Duck Dynasty premiered on A&E. It was an instant hit. The show pulled in over 11 million viewers per episode at its peak, becoming one of the most watched reality shows in cable history. That's when the real money started rolling in. Licensing deals, merchandise, speaking gigs, books. The Robertson brand was now a business empire. And through it all, Phil stayed rooted in the same values: faith, family, and ducks. Phil didn't change for fame. Fame changed to fit him. When your personal brand is authentic, it becomes magnetic. Let's talk numbers. At its peak, Duck Dynasty generated over $400 million in merchandise sales. T-shirts, mugs, books, DVDs, duck calls, all branded, all profitable. Each family member reportedly earned $200,000 per episode. Phil himself, despite being less involved in operations, saw his net worth climb past $10 million. Likely more if you include assets. But unlike many celebrities, Phil kept it low-key. No flashy houses, no luxury cars, no viral splurges. He invested in land. He stayed in Louisiana, and he kept the business private. Wealth is what you don't see. Real millionaires don't always look like millionaires. In 2013, Phil Robertson made headlines after a controversial interview. Sponsors pulled out. A&E suspended him. The media exploded. But something wild happened. The audience didn't abandon him. In fact, support from loyal fans increased. Duck Dynasty merchandise kept selling. Book sales surged. Phil stayed quiet, stayed consistent, and the business didn't just survive, it thrived. Because when you build an audience that shares your values, they become customers for life. In today's economy, attention fades. Values endure. Duck Dynasty ended in 2017 after 11 seasons. But Phil Robertson didn't stop earning. He pivoted, slowly, quietly, into books, podcasts, and speaking events. His podcast, Unashamed, has millions of listeners. He leveraged the attention economy without becoming a content slave. No daily uploads, no TikTok dances, just long-form storytelling and values-based discussions. And he's still making money from Duck Commander, which continues to sell across the U.S., even internationally. Build assets that pay you long after the spotlight fades. Phil Robertson never chased money. But because he focused on value, loyalty, and legacy, the money came anyway. From hand-carved duck calls to global merchandise. From a dirt floor cabin to a multi-million-dollar brand, all without giving up who he was. If you're building a business, growing a brand, or just trying to figure out your financial path, Phil Robertson's story proves one thing. You don't need to go viral. You just need to be real and stay real long enough for people to notice. Thanks for watching. If this story inspired you, hit that like button, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway, And make sure to subscribe for more money stories that actually matter, because the next video might just change how you think about wealth forever.